You know that travel dream you've been kicking around for 2026? Maybe it's a beach somewhere incredible or some ancient city you've always wanted to see. For a lot of us, though, it just feels, well, a little out of reach, right? Like the cost and the planning are just too much. But what if I told you that dream trip is way more doable than you think?
And it's not just a feeling. Research from the global travel app Skyscanner actually backs this up. Get this, a whopping two-thirds of us are planning to travel internationally. But look at that, less than half have actually booked a single thing. That is a massive gap between what we want to do and what we're actually doing. So what's holding us back?
Well, a huge piece of the puzzle is how we think about cost. Nearly 70% of us just assume that a round-trip flight is going to cost more than $500. It's like we've built this mental wall believing that the very first step, just getting there, is already too expensive. But what if that's just not the whole story?
So what is it, really? What's the thing that's actually standing between you and that amazing trip? Turns out, it's not just about the money itself, it's about our mindset. And when you dig into the research, it really boils down to two major roadblocks. First, you've got destination indecision. I mean, there's so many amazing places to go, almost half of us are just totally overwhelmed by the choice. And right behind that, you have cost concerns. People are just worried they can't find a good deal. And these two things, they work together to keep us stuck at home. Okay, so let's tackle that cost issue head on. We're going to challenge the whole idea of what cheap travel even means. Because I'm telling you, the secret to affordable adventures in 2026 is probably not what you're expecting. This right here, this is the aha moment. A lot of us think the key to a cheap trip is a great currency exchange rate, right? But the reality, the real game changer, is finding places where the daily costs on the ground are super low. It's not about how many pesos or baht your dollar can buy. It's about how little of that currency you actually have to spend every day on the important stuff, like food, a place to sleep, and getting around. So what do we even mean by low daily costs? It's simple, really. It means going to places where the price of living is set for the people who actually live there, not just for tourists. It's where you can get a fantastic meal, a comfy bed, and a bus ticket across town without that crazy tourist markup. That's the sweet spot. That's where you find the real value. And you know what the best part is? These kinds of places, they're all over the globe. So let's take a little tour and look at some incredible destinations where your budget can stretch further than you ever thought possible. Let's start with a classic, Southeast Asia. I mean, look at these numbers. We're talking hostel dorms for as little as $4 a night. In Cambodia, you can grab a local draft beer for 50 cents. 50 cents! Or how about Nepal, where you can get a giant all-you-can-eat plate of dal bhat for about $1.50. Your entire budget for a day could easily come in under $30. It's incredible. And this isn't just a Southeast Asia thing. The Americas have some absolutely amazing budget-friendly spots too. In Bolivia, you can find a set lunch, we're talking soup and a main course, for maybe $3. And in Nicaragua, for about $30, you can go volcano boarding. You literally slide down the side of an active volcano. That's an epic, once-in-a-lifetime experience for the price of a pretty average dinner back home. And I know what you're thinking, sure, but what about Europe? Well, you might be surprised. Even Europe and North Africa have fantastic options. In Bulgaria, you can have a really good hearty meal for $5 to $8. In Turkey, you can take a ferry across Istanbul, one of the most scenic boat rides in the world, for less than $1. And in Morocco, you can stay in a beautiful traditional riad for under $10 a night. It's totally possible. Okay, but let's circle back to that big mental block, the flight. Remember that $500 barrier we all have in our heads? Turns out that data from Skyscanner shows that a lot of the time, it's just plain wrong. Average round-trip flights from Canada to the Bahamas are often under $500. And even places in Europe like Madeira, Portugal, or Madrid, Spain are way more reasonable than you think. The deals are definitely out there. All right, so picking the right destination, that's a huge step. But what do you do when you actually get there? How do you keep the costs down? Well, it all comes down to a super simple playbook. Just 3 rules that work pretty much anywhere you go in the world. It really boils down to this: stay local, eat local, and move local. Instead of those big international hotel chains, look for the local guest houses or hostels. Instead of the touristy restaurants, find the street food stall that has a line of locals. That's always a good sign. And instead of private taxis, use the same public buses and trains everyone else uses. Not only is it way cheaper, but it's also a much more real, authentic way to experience the place. All right, let's see how this playbook works in the real world. We're going to take a look at Morocco, a country that's just this perfect mix of incredible adventure and amazing value. So check this out. This is what it looks like when you put those 3 rules to work. You can get a bed in a hostel for as little as $10. You can eat a delicious, slow-cooked chicken tagine for maybe $3 to $5. A taxi ride across town, $1. When you start living by these rules, you can have an amazing time in Morocco on a budget of just $30 to $60 a day. Seriously. Now, it's not just about what you do, it's also about what you don't do. So let's talk about a few common budget travel mistakes. First, always watch for those hidden costs, like baggage fees on cheap flights. Second, try to avoid traveling during the absolute peak season. The shoulder seasons, like spring and fall, usually have great weather and much lower prices. And finally, remember that you don't have to pay for every single experience. Some of the best travel memories come from just wandering around a city, and that's completely free. You know, when you put all of this together, it really points to a whole new way of thinking about travel for 2026. This isn't about being cheap or missing out on things. It's about being smart, and it's about focusing on what really matters when you're on the road. There's a quote from one of the sources that just nails this idea perfectly. Budget travel is about prioritizing time, flexibility, and ease over speed. I love that. It's not about rushing from one tourist site to the next. It's about giving yourself the time and the freedom to really sink into a place, to travel with fewer restrictions, and to make the journey your own. So what's the bottom line here? That 2026 trip you've been dreaming of? It's way, way closer than you think. Those barriers, the cost, the indecision, they're really just a matter of looking at things a little differently. The only real question left is, with this new playbook in your hands, where are you going to go?